How are you? It is 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to do sort of a reading. I feel, I'll be honest with you, ill prepared because I've been reading um, from my book for, I guess, about a little over 2 weeks now. And then I was reading from certain passages from A Course in Miracles for a couple weeks, followed before that 81 verses of the Tao Te Ching. Gives you a great plan. I know I got 81 days ahead of me. I don't have to think about what I'm going to say. I read the passage, I read the verse, and then what comes up, whatever that might be. Um, Before that, I had read the Bhagavad Gita for 18 chapters. Not the entirety, but just picking a section. Um, so this morning I didn't really have anything picked out from the course. I was waiting to see what came up. Um, and there's a famous verse that I thought I would talk about. To be honest, I didn't think about it. I took a book, of Course in Miracles. It's a book written by Alan Cohn. He's a pretty well-known self-help author. I don't read a lot of self-help books. Not any longer. I did for a really long time. Until a couple of things. One, you sort of get a glimpse of the nature of the self being illusory. At least the nature of the self that we're talking about here. The nature of the self being egoic. Man, why would I want to keep improving the ego? It's an illusion. It doesn't truly exist. So with that in mind, you start surrendering self-help because you'd rather turn the entirety of the self over to spirit itself. Hey, Max. How are you, my friend? Give me 1 second. I'm bringing up the desktop so I can read comments a little easier. There we go. Max says, good morning, Eric. Glad to see you. I was looking forward to the 5 a.m. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad you're here. So when you get that little glimpse of the absence of self with a small s, and then you explore what's found instead, because that small self, the illusion, has to exist within a greater reality itself. So what's that greater reality? It's all inclusive, draws no distinctions, draws no lines, has a willingness to hold everything that occurs. Hence, it holds the smaller self. We could liken it to the open sky. Open sky holds everything. Clouds, tree branches, mountaintops, airplanes, birds, without distinction. It doesn't say I will hold this but not hold that. It holds everything. It's limitless. That's the greater self. If that greater self is all holding, all pervasive, all loving, doesn't need improvement. So we sort of surrender that that sense of self-improvement. We lay these self-improvement books aside, and instead now we want to know who we truly are. And the only way to know that is to keep immersing ourselves in the reality of love. Max says, I became a bit more ungrounded today and to fear and what ifs. It's still a process, and I am a beginner in a sense. So I'm just trying to let go of being good at it for now. Absolutely. Man, you nailed it. That's 100%. You know what? There is no, in a certain sense, there is no beginner. There is no expert. There are no levels. It's just each moment at a time. Some moments were steeped in fear. Other moments were full of love and kindness and forgiveness. But in truth, all of that is occurring in the present moment. It's occurring in the present moment, which needs no practice. So as often as possible, we just breathe. The breath is our anchor. Always takes us back to now. Always takes us back to now. Don't need to do anything. Sometimes it seems like we mess up. Sometimes it seems like we nail it. It's all the same. We just keep returning. So this is a famous passage from Course in Miracles. And it is tolerance for pain may be high, but it is not without limit. Eventually, everyone begins to recognize, however dimly, that there must be a better way. I love that because I spent a decade with extremely high tolerance for pain. Drinking and drinking and drinking some more. And messing up, ruining relationships, wrecking cars, endangering other people's lives, endangering my own life, just being a mess. You would think wrecking one car would be enough. You would think ruining one relationship would be enough. But as the Course says, tolerance for pain is high. It's high. We'll keep making mistakes. We'll keep basing our lives in fear at the expense of extending ourselves as love. We will keep being cruel. We will keep being petty. We will keep doing what Rumi, the great Sufi poet, said, being clever. Clever means that we put the ego first and foremost, first and forefront, guiding our lives, pushing our lives, shoving its way through, demanding and demanding and demanding. However, tolerance for pain may be high, but it's not without limits. Sooner or later, we get to the point where we want to let go of it. We're tired of being in pain. We're tired of conflict. We're tired of demanding that the world meets our every whim and expectation, and then getting angry when it doesn't. Why me? Why doesn't this work? The reason why it doesn't work is because it's not supposed to. Here's what's supposed to work: kindness, forgiveness, easiness, grace. Eventually, everyone begins to recognize, however dimly, that there must be a better way. And there is a better way. Here's the problem, though. We become aware of it, however dimly, and we start thinking, man, I want to practice meditation. I want to do some breath work. I need to do some yoga. I need to step back and replenish. I need to step back and take a breather. And then we dive back in. We dive right back in, thinking that's enough. We have an entire lifetime to practice. And practice is gentle. Practice is easy. Practice takes no effort. It takes no effort to be who you truly are. It just takes remembering, moment by moment by moment. Let's see, Max says, for me, it's wild to think of my anxiety as actually being a high tolerance for pain. But it makes sense because I'm causing myself pain through worry. Therefore, tolerating pain I'm creating. Absolutely. Man, you're getting one insight after another. Hey, Sniper. Sniper says, Grand Risings, Eric. Greetings, Max. Hello, my friend. Hope you're finally catching a break in the weather, Sniper. It's all based upon a thought. All of our anxiety based upon a thought. And it's the same thought in different forms, in different guises, in different appearances. And the thought is always fear. The thought is always fear. It's not going to work. I don't have enough. I'm making a mess of things. I'm hurting people. I'm hurting myself. Uh, Name it. I might get fired. I might not get hired. I might not be able to afford this. I might not be able to pay my bill. It's all based upon fear. And fear is never based upon the present moment. Present moment is always based upon love. Present moment is always based upon reality. But our thoughts create a barrier between the present moment, which is always now, always here, no place we can be, but we believe our thoughts instead of the present moment. Let's see. Max says, greetings, squirrel. Max says, I'm getting lucky with insights, but they mean nothing if I don't apply them for a more peaceful existence, I'd assume. It's a good assumption. The thing is, every insight is a glimpse into who you are, a glimpse. So instead of thinking, so I got this insight and I need to apply it, it's almost like reality is bleeding through, like love is bleeding through, and you're becoming more of what you already are. And so every time you get that insight, it's just a glimpse of what is already present. So keep taking the pressure off of yourself. There is no pressure to be better. There is no pressure to, man, I got to do a better job. I got to be more forgiving. I have to do this. I have to do that. There is no have to. Does this guy ever say, I have to hold a mountaintop? I have to hold a bird? I have to hold an airplane? Is there any decisions in the sky being the sky? If you already are that which you are, it takes no effort. But sometimes we need to gently remind ourselves. It's already accepted because it's already here. Every conflict is already accepted because it's already here, which also means the resolution is already present as well. We just need to relax and let it unfold. We keep breaking things up into timelines. But as Einstein said, time happens at once. Everything happens at once. But time is just an illusion, albeit a persistent illusion, of organizing all that. Max says, yes, the harder I try, the harder it seems. But when I let it be, it's much more effortless. Absolutely. Which is weird for me as a naturally type A go-getter. I'm always trying to prove to myself and the world. It's just a simple matter of either relating to the ego or relating to love. Love is who you are. The ego is an appearance within love, just an appearance, not an actuality. All it takes is one true glimpse of that no self state, of the don't know mind, of the reality of love, and you're never quite the same. It's hard to truly believe in something when you've had a glimpse of its non-existence. Hey, Night Watcher. Hello, just an hour ago, talked to two American ladies from Atlanta in Carolina. They came to Bangladesh for humanitarian work. I was at a rich people park. Hanging out with the rich people, huh? Tell them I said hi. That's what I love about when we were reading the Tao Te Ching. The Tao just always urges the effortlessness, which is ever present. It's the ego that demands effort. It's the Tao, just simply is. Doesn't require, doesn't demand, doesn't even ask, but just is. The simplicity of just is, which is also what Nisargadatta Maharsh said about always returning to I am. The simplicity of I am. Give me a second, guys. Niskara Yoga is what he taught. Niskara means nature. The simplicity of being in our true nature. I'm bringing up his page real quick. Here are the 7 principles of Niskara Yoga. Non-identification and right understanding. Interest and earnestness. Spontaneity and effortlessness. Attentiveness to being. Right action. Going within to go beyond. And awareness of self. Here's the core message from Nisargadatta. You are not your body, but you are the consciousness in the body, because of which you have the awareness of I am. It is without words, just pure beingness. It has become the soul of the world. In the absence of your consciousness, the world will not be experienced. Hence, you are the consciousness. Remember what you have heard, meditate on it. Meditation means you have to hold on, you have a hold to consciousness by itself. The consciousness should be given attention to itself. The consciousness is God, as there is no God other than this consciousness. All right. Now, which says, I learned something. My whole personality shifts to people because when talking to the American people, my English got better. I mean, I have good English, but I make it worse when talking to others. Max says, coming back to I am makes a lot of sense. And it's so simple. It's just as simple. Whenever we find getting caught up in the ego-ness of the world, getting caught up in personality, getting caught up in making demands, we just take a breath, and the breath automatically turns us to I am. The breath emerges from I am. The natural mantra of the breath, the primordial sound of the breath is aham. If everything was quiet and the breath just got more and more subtle, we would hear the vibration pattern of aham. Aham means I am. The breath returns us to I am. We don't have to do anything. We just go back to aham. Aham. Let's see. Sniper says, Max, change I am to I can be anything. And yet, I am is always present though, which is why we return back to I am. If I am can be anything, everything that appears from I am is simply an illusion of I am. But when we return back to I am itself, the center of existence itself, we always return to peace. We always return to peace. This is why there's a practice of neti meditation. Neti means not this, not this. So everything that we can say Um, I am a body. I am thoughts. I am whatever. All stem from I am. I am being the primordial essence of who we are. So all that other stuff, we're not exclusively that. The only exclusivity that we can assume is I am. Other than that, it's all conjecture. Max says, I am as a constant and being able to see anything. Perfect. 100%. I am as the constant of being able to see, to be anything, to be able to see anything in order to think anything. It all stems from I am, the originality. And then, of course, I am is that pinpoint of consciousness. And then we have the absolute, the nothingness, the all we can do is shrug. We can't know the essence of nothingness. We can't know the absolute, because to know is always of the ego, but to be is always of the simplicity of I am. I think my favorite answer is just a shrug. It did not help me in school, especially in Catholic schools. The nuns do not appreciate a shrug. Eric, do you know the answer? Not right now. Um, they did not appreciate that. However, through the course of life, I find myself coming back more and more to just a shrug. So the 7 principles. Give me 1 second. For Maharaj, our only problem, an imagined one, is a case of mistaken identity. We presume to be an individual, and originally and fundamentally, we are not an individual. We are intrinsically, always and only, the absolute itself. So even the I am is an appearance from the absolute. However, it's that pinpoint of consciousness of which anchors us. What I love about the Niskar Yoga is it's defined as living life with harmlessness, friendliness, interest, and abiding in spontaneous awareness without being conscious of effortless, while being conscious of effortless living. Living takes care of itself, of course. We complicate it. But whenever we return back to that I am, it says the practice of this form of yoga involves meditating on one's sense of I am, being, or consciousness, with the aim of reaching its ultimate source prior to this sense, which is always the I am. The dwelling on the sense of I am is the simple, easy, and natural yoga. There is no secrecy in it, and no dependence, no preparation is required, and no initiation. Whoever is puzzled by the very existence as a conscious being and earnestly wants to find his own source can grasp the ever-present sense of I am and dwell on it assiduously and patiently till the clouds of obscuring the mind dissolve and the heart of being is seen in all its glory. Highly recommend Nisargadatta Maharaj's seminal classic, I Am That. I got 2 copies that I've had with me forever, since discovering it in the 1980s. That, along with the Bhagavad Gita, the Tao, the Course in Miracles. Here's what I love about A Course in Miracles. Max says, if I am is life, and I fear death, but death is I am not, then I am fearful of death. It's be fearful of not being. But I am not being, I am not fearful. I think this makes sense. If I am not being. It does make sense. I'm trying to think of if we can simplify it. Any fear of death is a fear that's only present in the ego, because the ego already doesn't exist as an actuality. It's a false entity. It's a belief system, a collection of thoughts that we've had since the dawn of time. We love to give it substance. We love to say it's this and it's that and it's whatever. But if you spend even a little bit of time meditating, you see completely through it, because you reach that point, even briefly, of not having a thought, infinite stillness, where the personality, where the ego doesn't even exist. Now the ego, the thought system, emerges from the thoughtlessness, emerges from it, but is not it. The ego can never be it. An illusion can never be reality. It's just an appearance within reality. So the 5 afflictions of the mind, as they're called in yoga, the kleshas, also found in Buddhism. One of them is fear of death. The other is the mistaken belief that we are an ego. And the two are related. All of them are actually related. When you see that you are not an ego, and an ego doesn't even really exist, you also realize there's no death. There is the ending of the body. There's the ending of a thought system. There might even be the ending of thought, but the pure awareness of which you are simply and always remains. Miss Flipper says, greetings from Rome. Hello, my friend. I had a good friend that was in Rome, that lived in Rome. She was actually Swiss, but her husband was Italian, and they moved to Rome. He worked, I believe, in the government. Sadly, she passed away in 2015. So I was saying what I love about A Course in Miracles is it simplifies things even further. Forgiveness returns us to the present moment. We forgive and we forgive and we forgive, and we realize all there is the eternal innocence of the present moment. I love the simplicity of that path. The ego complicates, spirit returns us to simplicity. All right, I'm going to head out and take a walk in a few minutes. Let's see. Max says, what does A Course in Miracles say about forgiving when it's difficult? Awesome question. A Course in Miracles actually begins with 50 principles of miracles. And a miracle is simply a shift in the mindset. We realize that I can't forgive. I can't. The ego can never forgive. The ego is based upon fear, always. The ego is a projection of a fear-based belief system that keeps us separate from each other and separate from our true source, separate from God, separate from beingness. So one of the main principles, the first principle, I believe, is there is no order of difficulty in miracles. When we find it being difficult to forgive, it's because we are trying to forgive from the ego. Course in Miracles says this is what we do. We say, I can't forgive. It's too difficult, too hard for me. And we turn it over to the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the reality of God found already within us. It's our connection to God. It is ever present. So we turn it over and we ask for a miracle. When we say, it's too hard for me, it's too tough for me, I turn it over to you. Help me forgive. Help forgiveness to be present. The truth is, there's no actual forgiveness. It's simply a ritual that we do in order to return us to the present moment. The Course says that the one holy true thought that we can have, that one can have about the past, is that it's not here. The one truly whole thought that one can have about the past is that it's not here. That's forgiveness. Because whatever it is that you're finding it difficult to forgive is a thought that is based upon the past. And the past is not here. It's already forgiven. We just refuse to recognize that fact. We'd rather hold on to grievance. We'd rather hold on to resentment. We would rather hold on to judgment. And yet, all of those are thoughts based upon the past, which is not here. Max says that's a great explanation, giving it to the Holy Spirit ritualistically to return to the present moment. And we could call the Holy Spirit the I am. We could call it beingness. We could call it the voice of God. We could call it the voice of love. Doesn't matter what, we can call it the Tao. Doesn't matter what term. I do like the term Holy Spirit. But it's the ever-present reality given to us to help us return. So the ego will never forgive because its very identity is based upon being separate from reality. Max says, last question, if the Tao can be read, isn't the real Tao? Then why read the Tao? To remind us, simply to remind us that the Tao that can be read is not the true Tao. But we are so firm in our belief that we are small and separate and self-important that reality has been given that aspect. We're so caught up in the mind stuff that we forget the Tao. So the only reason we read the Tao is to remember that we are the Tao. We're not the words of the Tao. We are not the thoughts of the Tao. We are the Tao itself. So the Tao can be likened to pointers. All these are pointers back to reality. But a pointer is not the thing itself. Ramana Maharshi had a great analogy of a pointer is like a thorn. We have a thorn stuck in the hand, and we take another thorn to remove the original thorn. But we don't hold both up and say, that's reality. We throw them both away. The Buddha likened it to a raft, that you build a raft of pointers to take you to the other shore. But once you're on the other shore, you don't need the raft any longer. Now you continue onwards. However, you might come to another lake, another pond, another stream, another ocean, and you need to build another raft. Or you go back to your original raft. Doesn't matter. It's just, we forget. And it's helped to have something that points us back to the remembering. Max says, thanks for the explanation, Eric. Hope the onion tail worked. Man, they didn't send me the onion. I placed an order with Whole Foods. I had to anyway. and they sent me everything but the onion itself. So I've been limping around for the past day. I think it feels marginally better today. We'll see. I'm going to head outside and take my walk. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Max, I appreciate you sharing those insights. Sniper, my friend, thank you as always. Night Watcher. Max says onion was one thing we're all looking forward to. I know. When I did the live streams later in the day, everyone was like, so, you got an onion taped to your toe? It's like, no, sadly, I don't. Max says, have a great walk and day. Thank you, Max. And blessings, chat. Blessings to you, my friend. Everyone, take care. I'll see you later.